to thank you all for coming here today, as opposed to doing it in front of 40 Fountain Street, which is where my staff would love to bring you. I figured we'd be a little bit warmer doing it here today, and I want to thank you for coming on by. I'm here to talk about the State Properties Committee today, and I'm here to describe to you what I consider to be a very, very poor demonstration of what government should look like. Very few people understand what the State Properties Committee is, and I want to take a minute to tell you about it. The State Properties Committee is a voting committee of 5 individuals. 2 individuals from the Department of Administration, 1 voting member from the Attorney General's office, and 2 members of the public. This committee acts as the real estate agent and the landlord for the state of Rhode Island. All real estate deals that are done by the state are transacted by this committee. I just came here from the Attorney General's office where I filed a multi-point complaint against this committee. This committee has violated our Opens Meeting Act multiple times in the last 6 months. These violations were, this committee did not file the meeting minutes for a great many of their meetings over the last 6 months. This is a problem, and this is not transparent government, because the public only is able to understand what this committee does based on the filings that it makes. These omissions are similar to pulling the curtains on what this committee has done, and that is wrong. On top of that, in my opinion, equally bad, the 2 public committee members of this committee don't exist. The last time a public member of this committee sat on this committee was at some point in time between August of 2012 and November of 2012. I can't tell you when that member left the committee, because that 3-month window of time in 2012 has no meeting minutes whatsoever from this committee.
So there's only 3 members.
Right now, there are only 3 sitting members. They apparently meet every twice a month.
Ken, are you taking questions? Or
I'm not finished. I'll wrap this up and I'll gladly take questions when we're done. So the problem is, and the question is, why does this matter? This matters tremendously because Rhode Island is in economic crisis. Rhode Island needs jobs desperately. We have to turn our economy around. And yes, while our problems are tax-based, while our problems are regulatory-based, our problems are also government-based. When our government operates in a non-transparent way, when our government violates state law, the way the State Properties Committee has violated law, the message that we send to individuals, that we send to businesses, is that this is a closed state, that you have to know somebody to get things done. With all the controversy over license plates that we've had over the last several years, I would propose a new license plate. Let's call it that you got to know someone in the state, right? We can't be known as you have to know someone's state. We have to turn this state into an open state. And the way we do that is with the Attorney General's office actively and aggressively ensuring that Opens Meeting Act violations are put to bed. I believe in the strongest possible terms that the Attorney General, in his role as ex officio person sitting on this committee, General Treasurer Gina Raimondo has a representative who sits on this committee. Governor Chafee, in his role as the person who appoints individuals to this committee, have failed and violated public trust by allowing this committee, this important committee, to operate without any public representation is essentially a crime against the people of this state. It is not acceptable that we operate this committee behind and under the cloak of darkness. It is not acceptable that this committee has blatantly and openly and repeatedly violated state law. In my administration, I will not tolerate this sort of behavior, and there will be the highest level of accountability for any violations of our open meetings laws. We can't afford to violate the public trust anymore. As governor, I will work to build that trust. When I build that trust, I will issue an executive order within the first week of taking office. I will expand the agenda, the open meeting window for agendas from 48 hours to 96 hours for any state committee, commission, or agency that does business public-facing with the public. And I will not tolerate for 1 minute a violation of any of these open meetings rules or laws, because our accountability is to the public, and we have to make sure the public is answered to for everything that we do. This is important not just for economic reasons. This is important because when we do our business behind curtains, we get 38 Studios style results. We got 38 Studios because that deal happened behind the curtains, and it was inflicted on the population before they knew what happened. And I'll tell you something. The public deserves to know what its government is doing before it does it, not after. We found out about 38 Studios after. We're finding out about how the Properties Committee operates after the fact, if we're lucky, because they're not telling us what they're doing. That all has to come to an end. In my administration, we will not tolerate this. We will rebuild the public trust, and we will move this state forward in every manner that we need to, economically, educationally, and most importantly, in the way our government functions. Thank you. I'll take any questions.
What are you saying when it comes to the 40 pound situation? Some sort of example of this?
One of the things that bothered me with 40 Fountain Street was the no-bid nature of that deal, combined with the lack of transparency in how this agency is operating, how this committee is operating. Whether the deal was dirty or not dirty, I don't know. I'm going to leave that to you to dive into and figure it out. But I'll tell you that when we do our business behind the curtain, it sets us up for problems, and we can't allow those problems.
Ken, are you in any way criticizing the Attorney General for slacking off on the enforcement?
1,000% I am. I have filed open meetings requests in the past, complaints. The Board of Elections was found to be in violation of state law for exactly this problem. They received no censure, they received no fine, and obviously that violation has not acted as a disincentive to the State Properties Committee, which has violated the same law multiple times for multiple years. The State Attorney General is failing in his duty to enforce this law. If we had bank robbers who are robbing banks, and state police deliver those bank robbers to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General slapped them on the wrist and said, "Don't do that again. We're going to get more banks." The state of Rhode Island, the citizens of Rhode Island are being robbed by deals like 38 Studios. They're being robbed potentially by insider deals being inflicted on us by the State Properties Commission, and we can't allow that to happen. We need the enforcement of these laws to be done much more effectively and much more aggressively than we have been saying.
Second, just a follow-up question. Do you believe that this is ubiquitous throughout state government or exclusively this agency?
The Secretary of State and the Attorney General in combination have all the filings from every public agency in this state. I believe it's their job to look at this information that they have, determine who's not compliant.
So you don't really know?
I don't really know at this point in time, but somebody in government who's responsible for these violations should be doing it. A 35-day clock starts from the day a public meeting occurs to when those minutes have to be filed. Why are we not actively pursuing those committees and commissions who are not filing within 35 days? Why does it have to take essentially a whistleblower to say they haven't filed that work, that paperwork? The government should be doing it on the citizens' behalf.
These minutes that have been approved by the committee,
I don't know. They're not filed. So I can't tell you. I do know in the sporadic filings that are there are references to meetings where previous meeting minutes were approved, where the minutes that did those approvals are not on file. If that made any sense at all. It's really a mess. they're missing altogether.